Hola amigos y bienvenidos a una presentación sobre el pretérito en español. It is an exciting day in your Spanish career as you officially bring in the past tense, el pretérito. And after using a lot of presente over time, I'm sure you're as excited about it as I am. El pretérito. El pretérito is one of two past tenses that we have in Spanish, and it describes actions that were completed in the past. Logical, ¿verdad? Because it is a past tense, el pretérito. Bien, bien. Pero primero, before we fully delve into pretérito, let's quickly review the presente, which hopefully you've been dealing with for a long time. Those AR endings in the presente are o, as, a, amos, ais, am. The ER endings are o, es, e, amos, eis, en. And the IR endings in the presente are o, es, e, imos, is, en. These will not disappear. You still need to be able to express yourself in the presente, even as we add in the ability to talk about the past, the pretérito. Bien, let's start right into pretérito then, and let's begin with a nice, friendly, regular AR verb, viajar, to travel. When we go to conjugate in the pretérito, you'll drop the AR and you'll stick on the appropriate endings, just like we did before in presente, but now the endings are different. So here's an example of a regular AR verb in the pretérito. Viajé, viajaste, viajó, viajamos, viajasteis, viajaron. So this means that your AR endings in the pretérito are e con acento, aste, o con acento, amos, asteis, aron. And it's really, really important to get those accents correctly in the yo form and in the el, ella, usted form. Without them, it's not the pretérito. It is an incorrect verb conjugation. So be able to write them and be able to say them. Viajé and viajó, really accenting where the accent is. That's the idea. So that's an AR verb. Let's take a look then at an ER verb like comer. And comer shows up in the pretérito in the past as comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comisteis, comieron. Again, we have some accent marks with comí and comió. With comió, that el, ella, usted form, make sure you note that the accent is over the O. It's not over the I. So since we're in the past, this conjugation means things like I ate, you ate, she, he, you ate, we ate, y'all ate, etc. Comer. So now you have your endings for the pretérito. Let's put them all together. Let's look at the AR endings next to the ER and IR endings. The AR endings are e con acento, aste, o con acento, amos, asteis, aron. The ER and IR endings are I con acento, iste, yo con acento over the O, imos, isteis, yeron. So important to know these, and the accent marks are so important. So a little suggestion I have is that you say the ending twice if it gets an accent mark. So let's try this. Aste, o, amos, aron. ER and IR. Iste, o, imos, yeron. Let's speed it up a little bit. Aste, o, amos, aron. Join me this time. Aste, o, amos, aron. Iste, o, imos, yeron. Join in with me. Iste, o, imos, yeron. Yes, I know you might think at this point the Profe Nelson has officially gone crazy this time, but by getting these chants in your head, it can help you when you need the endings, and it can help you kind of have something to hold on to regarding where those super important accent marks go. Aste, o, amos, aron. Iste, o, imos, yeron. Don't take yourself too seriously. Learn those, and I think it'll help you out a lot. Muy bien, unas observaciones sobre el pretérito. You may have already noticed that in both presente and pretérito, the AR ending is amos. So you might wonder, how the heck am I going to know the difference between presente and pretérito if it's the same ending? And you can just use the context of the sentence, as in, Elena y yo siempre compramos pantalones negros. Elena and I always buy black pants. That's presente. Contrast that with ayer, yesterday. Yesterday is a big indicator for pretérito because it's in the past. Ayer, Elena y yo compramos pantalones rojos. Yesterday, Elena and I bought red pants. So despite that somewhat ambiguous amos ending, you can use the rest of the sentence to figure out if it's referring to presente o pretérito. Bien, más observaciones. Típicamente no hay cambio radical en el pretérito. Can it be? Typically, there's no stem change in the pretérito. Feel free to pause the presentation, do a happy dance, and sit back down. Yes, it's right. Typically, there's no stem change in the pretérito. Now, I reserve the right to amend this information later with some more specifics, but for the moment, there's no stem change in the pretérito. So here's what I mean. Remember back in Spanish 101, in the presente, we had stem changers like E to IE stem changers. Ana cierra is an example. But in the pretérito, we say Ana cerró. Ana closed. There's no stem change, and we use the pretérito o ending. Otro ejemplo. En el presente, los estudiantes vuelven. Remember that? Because volver is an O to UE stem changer. But in the pretérito, los estudiantes volvieron. No stem change for now in the pretérito. Olé! Time to celebrate. Bueno, you'll need some new vocabulary in order to talk about the past. And here's some expressions. They're also in your text, or you can take them right from this presentation. Here are some expressions that point directly to pretérito, and it's great vocab. Anoche, anteayer, pasado o pasada. And then that leads to expressions like el año pasado, la semana pasada. Then we have ayer, when you've already seen, yesterday. De repente, great expression. Suddenly something happened. Desde, hasta. Una vez. Dos veces. Ya, already. Great vocab for the pretérito, so make sure you include these expressions in your vocab study at this point. Bien, preguntas comunes. Let's take a look at hacer. The infinitivo hacer means to make or to do, and it's a totally irregular verb in the pretérito. It will not follow the endings we've learned so far at all. So here's some common questions with hacer that you want to memorize. ¿Qué hiciste? What did you do? Informal. ¿Qué hizo usted? What did you do? Formal. ¿Qué hicieron ustedes? What did y'all do? ¿Qué hizo él o ella? What did he do or she do? ¿Qué hicieron ellos o ellas? What did they do? These will be helpful to memorize. They don't have to be answered with hacer. If you ask somebody, ¿Qué hiciste? What did you do? They might say, I walked, or I ran, or I wrote out my homework, etc. So these lend themselves nicely to talking about what you did in el pretérito. Bien, let's slide into a little bit of práctica. Here are some sentences for you. I've given you a subject and an infinitive. Write a brief sentence or phrase using the given subject with the given infinitive in the pretérito. You might want to go back and review those endings that we had earlier in the presentation, and then you can check yourself and see how you're coming along. Aquí están las respuestas. Celebraron, escribí, llevaste, comimos, vivieron. All those are straight up regulars, regulares en el pretérito. Okay, so you can go back to the earlier parts of this presentation if you have questions or you're unclear about any of that. So now that we've got those regulars taken care of, let's talk about some other aspects of pretérito. There are always other aspects to deal with, right? It's never just plain and simple. I want to tell you about something called cambio de ortografía, spelling change that happens in the pretérito. And this applies to verbs that end in cad, gad, and zad. It only applies to the yo form. So we're talking about a spelling change in the yo form of the pretérito for cargar and zad verbs. And what happens, like with the CAR verb, the C changes to QU. So you end up with busqué. The rest of the conjugation is normal. With the GAR verb, you add in a U. So you end up with llegué, and the rest of the conjugation is normal. And with the ZAR verb, the Z simply changes to C. So you have empecé, ending in CE accent. And it's up to you. This is something you can just memorize, and it gets easier to memorize once you start doing your homework and seeing examples of it in action. Or you might be the type of person to say, why? I need to know why this is. So I'll tell you why. I love to talk about why. The reason there's a spelling change for cargar and zad verbs is based on this. We have this rule in Spanish that a, o, and u make a hard sound. So for example, casa, that's a hard C as opposed to sasa. Tengo, that's a g, that's a hard G as opposed to tenjo or tenjo. And then guia is a hard G as well. On the other side of it, E and I make a soft sound, as in cine and general. It's cine, not kine, and it's general, not general. So you might not have really thought about those hard and soft sounds before, but these rules exist, that A, O, and U make a hard sound, and E and I make a soft sound. So once you know that, then you can apply it to the spelling change issue. If you conjugate jugad in the yo form of the pretérito, you drop your AR, you put on your E, you'd end up with Juge. And since E makes a soft sound, it would be pronounced juje. And juje sounds very fun, but it doesn't sound anything like jugad because you've lost that G sound. So we add in a U to make it jugué and maintain that G sound of jugué. The same situation applies to CAR verbs. If you take buscar, drop the AR and stick on your E, you'd have that BUSCE accent, which would be pronounced busé, be a soft sound because of the E. So we want a hard sound, so we change the C to QU, getting busqué. As for the ZAR verbs, you just have to memorize that we don't do ZE in Spanish. It changes to CE. I know this can sound a little confusing the first time you hear it, but again, it's only the yo form of these three types of verbs, cargar and zad, and you'll start to see that it's happening in the same verbs over and over again once you start doing your tarea and that sort of thing. So a little practice will make you more comfortable with it over time. Now that we've done that, let's bring in tres verbos especiales en el pretérito. Special is code for weird stuff you have to memorize. But the good news is that these three verbs all are weird in the same kind of way. Creer, leer, and oír. And you note that they're heavy in accents and they're heavy in Y's that are added in. In fact, you see with these that there's an accent on every single form except for the ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So I'll read through an example for you. Creí, creíste, creyó, creímos, creísteis, creyeron. And again, we're in the past. So these mean things like I believed, I read, I heard. You believed, you read, you heard, etc. Otro verbo importante en el pretérito. There are lots of special verbs in the pretérito. One that we're going to bring in right now is ver, to see. And in the pretérito, it's vi, viste, vio, vimos, visteis, vieron. Vi, viste, vio, vimos, visteis, vieron. And you might be saying to yourself, that's kind of weird. So far, all of our pretérito verbs have had accents on them. I know, it is weird. That's why we call it irregular. And there are lots of irregular verbs in the pretérito. We will bring them in slowly. So this is just one for now. It's particularly helpful. You can talk about what you saw, ver en el pretérito. Bien, so that's the skinny on pretérito. Let's practice. I'm going to set you up with a situation. La semana pasada, and here's some sentences that you can create in the pretérito. Make the given infinitive agree with the given subject. I'll give you 2 slides of practice and then share some answers. Now you're practicing under the situation of el año pasado, last year, which is also pretérito. So keep working. Push pause again. Complete these sentences. Y aquí tienen unas respuestas. Llegó, corrió, escribieron, leímos, that's irregular, viste, otro irregular, llevé, and vendieron. Every single one of these answers is explained earlier in the presentation. It's either using the regular pretérito endings or it's one of the irregulares that I have shown you. So feel free to go back and keep familiarizing yourselves with these ideas. Bien, one more thing before we wrap up, kind of for fun and also to expand your horizons. If you're already looking for ways to avoid the pretérito, yes, I've spent all this time teaching this to you, and now I'm going to say, if you want to avoid the pretérito, use the expression acabar de followed by an infinitivo, as in, acabo de comprar un abrigo. Conjugate acabar for the subject, followed by de and an infinitive, and it means I just bought a coat. It's a nice way of varying expression. It makes you sound very smart, and it's because it's very idiomatic to use these. So feel free to put them to practice in your own writing and oral work in class. Acabamos de terminar la tarea de español. We just finished the Spanish homework. Again, following that little formula. Acabar, followed by de, followed by an infinitivo, to say you just did something. Bien? Vale, wrapping it all up, let's look at the presente and pretérito endings together for AR verbs. For the presente, o, as, a, amos, ais, ang, old news. And now we have the pretérito, the past endings for AR verbs. Aste, o, amos, ado. Putting both together for ER and IR verbs, ER presente endings are o, es, amos, es, en. IR presente are so similar. O, es, imos, is, en. Little difference. And they share the same endings in the pretérito, which is nice. Iste, o, imos, yeron. So, knowing the presente and pretérito endings is going to be key for the rest of the semester. Being able to conjugate any infinitive in presente and pretérito is really the main skill in this course. So I can't stress how important these last two slides are that put everything together for AR, ER, and IR verbs. And then a little bit of fun as we wrap up. Él lo hizo. Well, we know that él means he. We've learned that hizo is the pretérito of hacer. Lo is one of our direct objects, which we've already studied. Look at that blue crayon pointing to the red. Él lo hizo. He did it. I'll let you think about why that's funny or how realistic it is that the red crayon did all that scribbling. Él lo hizo, eh? Muchas gracias, amigos. Que tengan un buen día y hasta la próxima. Ciao.